That's when I saw a man looking at me through the window.
What is that face?
I froze when I saw him.
My god.
Feeling my stomach.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's your boy Mr. 619, and today we've got 3 disturbing true Home Alone horror stories animated. So these are true stories we're going to be reacting to Home Alone but animated versions. So this is going to be very interesting. But yeah, if you want to see more of this, drop a like, comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into today's video. So ooh.
Sometime last year, I was holed up in my house for a whole day and night. My city had a huge storm come through that put everyone on lockdown inside for almost an entire 24 hours. Houses and roads were flooding, and on the news, there were even reports of wind damaging windows and ripping roof panels off of homes.
What the hell?
I was alone at the time, spending the day on my phone, keeping up with the news, and just listening to the chaos going on outside. Around 5 or 6, the power started flickering, turning off for just a few moments, then turning back on. Then, maybe just an hour after this had started, the power fully shut off.
Bruh, what the hell?
I waited for a few minutes, expecting it to come back on, but after a while, I realized it probably wasn't going to come back until after the storm was over.
Right.
I sat on the couch and started scrolling through the news again on my phone for any updates, until there was a heavy knock on the front door. It scared me, being so loud in the midst of such a crazy storm,
Could've got me
but
alone.
also because I was not expecting anyone to be outside in this weather. I stayed where I was for a minute, debating whether to even see who it was, but then
Like, for me, in that situation, like, if there was a large knock on the door, I would just, like, look out the windows, just say who's there and stuff like that, you know, because you never know. If it's someone you're not expecting, you never know who's at the front door, and you would not want to find out if it's going to end in tragedy, let me tell you that. I mean, surely you guys can relate as well. I mean, there's got to be ways you would know. If you're not expecting someone and then knock on your door, you don't just go to the front door. You gotta find another way to, like, you know, look out the window or something and ask who it is, because I'm telling you, there's Halloween stories as well.
thought rolled through my mind that maybe it was just a neighbor needing help or wanting to ask if my power was out too. It was still absurd for anyone to be outside, but I went up to the door and looked out the peephole. Nobody was there. Perhaps I'd waited too long to check, but looking out, a really unnerving feeling came over me. I went back to the living room and opened a window, letting the minimal amount of light in from outside.
Right.
I didn't have any way to charge my phone, and I didn't have a flashlight,
Oh boy.
so I kind of just sat there and stared out the window. Then, out of the blue, I swear I heard a voice outside. I swung my head around behind me, looking toward where I thought I'd heard it from, but of course, I couldn't hear it anymore. I waited again, but figured it had to have just been the wind making strange noises.
True.
So I turned back around. Almost right on cue though, I heard it again. Just a quick few words, like someone was talking to someone else. I got up and went to a nearby window, looking out. It was so dark and rainy, there was nothing really for me to see. Still, I stared out into the rain,
Oh
and
no.
a sudden flicker of lightning lit up the area for a second. And in that second, I made out a figure not far from my house.
Bruh. Imagine, yeah, you're trying to mind your own business, and then someone knocks on the door, and you're trying to find out who it is, and then just as you're about to look out, there's a figure just staring from a distance away from you. Literally, that's gonna be scary as F, bro. Literally, just standing right in front of you, but it's way further from the door or something. And it's like, excuse me? What the hell? You might as well have called 999, bro, because I'm telling you, I would not want to find out what that guy want to do, or even female as well. Scary as F, man. Literally.
I had no way to know what he was doing, or really anything at all. I just saw a figure for a split second, and now that it was dark again, I couldn't see anything. Getting more unnerved, I closed up the windows and decided to go upstairs to the bedroom. Despite this, I was still nervous about the knocking and the guy I saw standing out in the middle of such a brutal storm.
Creepo. Weirdo.
It was hard not to wonder what they were doing or who they were talking to.
His face.
Hours went by with nothing more happening, just the sound of the storm outside as I sat in the room. Then, just when I had started to forget about it all, a sudden sound faintly echoed from downstairs.
What the fuck?
It was a door opening. I could feel my face go pale as I tried to listen, but it almost felt like the storm had grown louder, and I knew there would be no way I could hear any footsteps at all.
What the F, man?
I just had to sit there in my own thoughts and wait, horrified in the small, barely lit bedroom. A minute passed, and then another, and eventually I got the courage to call 911, though I knew it'd be a long time.
I think you should have done it earlier though. Like, I know you're in the moment and you feel so scared and you don't know what to do. But if it was me, personally, I think you would have to do it earlier because it's like terrifying. The guy could have been in his house. Literally. By the sound of this story, the way it's going, it sounds like as if this guy actually entered the house somehow. So, we're gonna have to see what happens, man, but...
For them to arrive. From the time I heard the door open to the time the police showed up, it had been over 30 minutes.
Good!
And yet, there were no other sounds, and nobody ever came up to the room I was in. All the cops found was an open front door.
What did I tell you? I told you there was footsteps into the door. Somehow he found a way to just open that door. He found a way. I told you. Wasn't I right? Wasn't Mr. 619 right?
Wet shoe prints inside the house. There were no indications of any intent after entering my home. It almost seemed like they broke in, looked around for a minute, then just left.
Sorry to keep pausing, but I just want to say this quickly. Imagine if this guy that just walked into your house while you're locked in another room just came straight upstairs. That would have been something else, I'm telling you. That is just like, you wouldn't even want to hear it. You wouldn't even want to find out. So that day, he was lucky. Because we don't know what weapons this guy has, so...
To this day, there's been no answers to the events of that night.
Yeah, guys, I think that first story was like mostly common. Like, whatever happens, it's a normal thing. Not a normal thing in terms of like acceptance, but like this happens every single day. You might not hear it around your area and stuff like that, but trust me, where you live or nearby, anything can happen. It happens all around the world, every single day, every minute, every second. You don't even have to be an analysis of like pure facts. You just know. You just know. It's called common sense. Story 2, let's go.
This was almost 5 years ago from today. At the time, I was living in a small one-bedroom apartment when my parents bought a new house about an hour from the city I lived in. It was a really nice, way too big, countryside home with a ton of land. But due to their work schedules and just how complicated moving long distance was, they had to ship all of their stuff and have movers drop it off about a week before they would get there. To help out, I offered to house sit during that in-between time and make sure the move was all good. I got to the house on Saturday morning, greeting the movers and letting them haul everything inside, and they finished by sundown. All the stuff was piled in the corner of the rooms, with really just the couch set up for me to chill on. Seeing the house with everything inside, though, really put into perspective how large the place was.
Literally large,
I mean, to me at least, it felt like a mansion. Huge, wide-open rooms with long, empty hallways. Without anything else set up, it was kind of unsettling. After eating some leftover dinner that I brought with, I decided to check out the backyard. It had a large patio with a fire pit built in,
Oh.
and had a bunch of random outdoor furniture scattered along the side of the house. I grabbed a small lawn chair and put it by the fire pit, then sat back and relaxed.
I mean, imagine being in that moment. I mean, you would be, pretty cool, laid back, be like, feels like home. Even though it's late, but you just feel like you're in your comfort zone. So,
The night was a little breezy, especially way out in the middle of the open fields, but it was really quiet and peaceful. It was probably around 11, and I was out there for at least an hour or so,
really?
when just out of nowhere, a man appeared in the distance. He was walking way out in the field. I looked to where he came from and saw nothing but open land. Then I looked toward where he was heading and saw the same thing. I watched this man walk all the way down until the fog covered him up. But the whole time, I had no clue what he was doing out there.
That is creepy, I'm telling you.
Several minutes went by as I looked out into the fog, still just thinking about this man, when again, he emerged from the dark.
That's gonna be so effed up that you're just minding your own business, you're just outside your crib, and then all of a sudden, you see a man just walking around in a big field, literally, on your field. How are you gonna feel about that?
This time walking the way he had come before. He was slightly closer this time as well, enough to where it was a little uncomforting. I ended up going back inside, not wanting to be seen. I stayed in for an hour, mostly scrolling on my phone, but also checking the windows a couple of times and not seeing anything of concern. Around 12:30, I grabbed a blanket from one of the boxes and tossed it on the couch, laying down and falling asleep in the middle of the living room.
That's the worst thing you want to do. That's literally the worst thing you want to do, is when you feel so nervous or scared. Well, everybody would be in a situation that someone's outside and then you decide to just take a nap and sleep. Do you know how many things can happen while you're asleep? That's a bad idea for you to even do and even consider. That's kind of like not being responsible for your own actions, I tell you. Even though it's not your fault, but you should be aware at all times. Because shit happens, man.
When I woke up, something immediately felt off. I was confused and uneasy, opening my eyes and trying to figure out why I'd woken up and why I felt like this. The whole house was dark and silent, and the shadows of the random stacked up boxes made it difficult to see. But only a moment after looking around, a bright glare shined into the room.
Oh my god.
I squinted from the brightness as the light moved around the room, then suddenly shifted away. Opening my eyes again, I saw another small glare moving outside the front window. Then it suddenly shifted again, coming through the window, lighting up the whole living room, and directly shining into my eyes.
Is this guy a pedophile? Is he literally a pedophile? Is he actually a pedophile? He was literally waiting for him to wake up just to do that shit. I'm not even joking. What the F? These people, they're like, they don't have something that's normal with us, right? They have something else in there. And it's not normal, I'm telling you. Where's my drink, man?
By the time my eyes adjusted, the light was gone, and the window had nothing behind it. I got up and picked up my phone as I went up to the window and tried to see who was out there, but they were long gone, having turned their light off and faded out into the foggy night.
Damn.
I don't know who was out there or what they wanted, but I'd say my best guess is that they had seen the movers and were trying to rob the place. Whatever it was, though, I think I got lucky.
You did.
Because if I hadn't woken up from the light, it's likely I would have had to find out their intentions the hard way.
Literally, but at the same time, it's like, you don't know who's out there, but to fall asleep, that could have just given them a reason to just break in, because you're asleep and they're thinking, oh, with the flashlight and that, even though it woke him up, it's like you're literally thinking if it doesn't, they can just break in. And that's something you don't even want to be in, like the situation, right? Like even to be like considering, okay, I feel tired, find something, take something, drink something. Don't even like fall asleep because you think that person's gone, especially, right? Especially when it's someone like that in your area. Do not fall asleep, I'm telling you, because things will happen and it could lead to a tragedy. So he was lucky on that time. Story 3.
It was just a regular Friday night after getting out of a long closing shift at work. I made a quick microwave meal, then hopped online with some of my buddies and started gaming.
Yum yum.
I had an energy drink and some snacks and was ready to stay up late and enjoy the night. We gamed for a while. I never even checked the time, but at some point there was a knock. At first I just told my friends to hold on as I took my headset off and stood up. But when I turned around from my desk, I realized how dark it was inside and outside, seeing only the light from my computer. I stood there, understanding now how completely out of the norm it was for someone to be at my door this late into the night. And that's when I saw a man looking at me through the window.
What is that face?
I froze when I saw him,
my God.
feeling my stomach drop out of...
What is that face? Are you telling me that looked like that in real life? In real life? Oh, God.
the eeriness of him staring at me. Then the man yelled through the glass, asking me a question, but I was too out of it to understand him.
What?
I said,
What?
walking closer to the window. The man repeated himself, asking me if I was someone he knew, named Jake or Jack or something.
Jay or Jack looking like that? Are you mad? Ha! No way. With a face like that, please. Looks like a fucking goblin, bruv. Belongs to a SpongeBob SquarePants.
I didn't catch the name, but it definitely wasn't me. I shook my head no, and the man said nothing as he walked away from the window and disappeared past my front yard. Being a bit shaken, I immediately shut the blinds, then went back to the computer and told my friends about what just happened. They all didn't even believe me at first, but I think they heard the shakiness in my voice as they started asking a lot of questions, which only made me even more creeped out. I took their advice, going around and making sure all the doors were locked,
Yeah, do that.
then also locking the windows,
Good.
which I'd never even bothered to do before. Then they assured me everything was okay, and we got back to what we were doing. A couple hours passed, and honestly, I'd completely forgotten about what had happened. I think I assumed that if they were to do something, it would have been right after he'd shown up. But then a loud knock from behind me almost shook me off my chair.
Oh my God.
This time, it was definitely from the front door. I told my friends, whispering into the headset. They said to see who it was and just call the cops. Doing as they said, I quietly walked over to the door and looked out onto the porch.
You want to open the door for someone to bring something to just do something to you? Are you okay? Literally, you gotta look out the window or just find another way where you get a better view of like someone standing at your door, because just to just open a door like that to see who it is. After they were there hours before, it's not a smart thing to do. I know he's a young person, but guys, you gotta look after yourselves, man. That is creepy. I can't believe some people do that without even thinking. It's insane. Your life is on the line.
It was him again, standing there and waiting for me to answer.
Stupid goblin.
I watched for a minute, and oddly, he kept looking to his right, as if he were looking at something, or someone. I backed away and got my phone, calling the cops and whispering to them what was going on. Another knock came as I made my way back to the door
What is this
and looked
creeper
out,
want?
seeing the man looking off to the side again. Then he made a small gesture with his hand before knocking one more time. But the night was quiet enough for me to hear someone else's footsteps moving around to the side of the house.
He brought his friend. He actually...
I followed the sound with my eyes until it stopped right under one of the windows. I saw the glass shift up slightly before getting stuck on the lock and falling back down. They tried again, but the window didn't give in. After this, there was probably a whole minute that went by where I didn't hear anything. I just stood there and listened to the operator updating me on the arrival of the...
That is insane, guys. That he planned this the whole time, and he brought his stupid friend as well, which looked like he had a fucking cowboy hat on, which suggests to me that he's a stupid cowboy trying to fucking... I don't even want to say anything, but...
officer as I stared at the window. A loud, dull sound came from outside the window, like something being wedged into the wood. I could see the entire frame around the glass moving as I backed away and tried to think of what to do. But suddenly, a set of footsteps ran from the front door to the side window, followed by both of them running away.
The cops are here.
Only a moment later, I saw the flashing red and blue lights coming through the windows. As for what happened afterwards, there wasn't much. Police had nothing to really go off of. I gave them a detailed description of one of the men, but that just wasn't enough. However, it's been over a year since that night, and there's been no signs of them having ever come back.
That's crazy. They got away with fucking murder, basically. Well, not murder, but... I don't know, guys, but yeah, guys, all those stories involved, especially the last one, those are insane. Every single one of them were lucky to even get away with any, nothing to be special or anything. Like, all those stories were crazy. Number 1, 2nd, and 3rd. Especially the second one, the way you can just sleep and just think it's okay, and then all of a sudden you get woken up by a flashlight. That's just something else. And then number 3 as well, with the stupid goblin and the fucking cowboy hat. You gotta be kidding me, bro. And the number 1 as well, like, the guy being in his house, and then all of a sudden it's like, he just walks out. Like, they were all lucky to have nothing happen to them. But I'll tell you guys this, man, like, anyone that knocks on your door, I'm telling you right now, be smart and look out the window and ask who it is. Do not open the front door. If you're not expecting anyone, whether it's your family member or a friend, then why open the door? Or even a next door neighbor. I mean, next door neighbor, it's hard to tell because they might not be your closest, but it happens. I understand. But, still, like, it's got to be, applied for everybody else. So, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning into my video today. As this will be a series, so I'll be continuing a series. There might be, I'll react to the night shift next. Then there might be another one as well. So I'm going to try find all of it. A lot of them are like 1 hour long and stuff like that, but there are some short ones, so we'll try and find out for you guys. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. It's your boy, Mr. 619. Peace out.
Why you wanna act like this when I was there for you every single day? I gave my heart, everything to you, but you decided to break it and run away. Just like everybody else, I don't understand. Just like everybody I know in my life. Life's too short to go around cry, but I don't understand this mindset, man.